what it is?
I was about to say, whoa.
Like, ooh, they found it.
What
I got
present?
excited about it for a moment. Just for a moment. I was like, oh, we're going to do something.
How you doing, Cindy? Got 'em right here.
Are they giving them plaques or anything?
We have citations, superintendent citation.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yes.
Something. You're good at what you do. Praise the Lord.
They're great.
Mr. Williams can be free. Yes.
Sleeping a little better at night?
Huh?
Sleeping a little better at night?
Board on the board.
I don't have to worry about nothing. I sleep well.
That's good because I'm not sleeping.
Yes, I do.
That's not good.
Is it because of our security and school safety? Or is it because of the budget? Or is it, I mean, we can name a few things that we just threw on and be like, fix that.
It's like 3 o'clock, 2:30.
Uh-huh.
Thinking about something.
It's why I texted you at 2 a.m. because I thought about it.
Can't turn it off.
That's what gets me at night. If I wake up, it's over.
I just can't turn it off. Hey, Mr. Steele. How you doing, Tracy?
And I'm saying, 2 minutes. Hey, who's doing the business? Someone's calling me now.
Oh, do you have the, you need this statement?
Hey, school board meeting. I'll call you back.
Anybody call you Greg?
Everybody can
Okay, you
Anybody call you
I can hear you.
Dr. Ed?
Greg?
I saw you on TV. Great job.
Thank you, sir.
No,
Thank
my
you,
mother
sir.
will always call me about
Thank you, sir.
Gives it the short. Of course, my friends, you know. Kids call me Dr. P. Short form.
Call you Dr. Peter.
You'll answer that, won't you?
What's that?
You'll answer to Dr. P.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Even when I was in the classroom, you know, kids go, Mr. P. Yeah. Don't mind it at all.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Is that window?
Okay. Do we have any public comments tonight? Okay, if not, call this meeting to order. And we're going to have the invocation and pledge of allegiance and the prayers by Nakia Wilbert from Boone Park Elementary. Just a second, he's going to give you a mic.
Would everyone please bow their heads and close their eyes? Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this space to meet. We pray that all minds are sound and clear and all voices are heard. We ask that we have a productive and effective meeting. We ask that you allow everyone to make it home safely tonight once this meeting is over. Lord, we thank you for all these things. Amen.
Great job. Great job.
They're laughing about the parents. If the parents are here.
Pardon?
For parents.
Are your parents here with you tonight? Thank you.
Thank you for bringing her.
Okay, the Pledge of Allegiance by Chloe Pennington.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And your parents are with you. Thank you, good job. Vision and mission statement. Mr. Steele, will you read the vision statement and mission statement?
Sure. The North Little Rock School District and the community will provide for achievement, accountability, acceptance, and the necessary assets in the pursuit of each student's educational success.
Vision statement, please.
The vision statement.
Well,
Both. World-class schools for world-class students.
thank you. Can we have the roll call, please?
Ms. Temple,
Here.
Dr. Redis.
Here.
Ms. Walken,
Here.
Mr. Zakreski,
Here.
Ms. Person West, Ms. Williams,
Here.
and Mr. Steele.
Here.
So we are on to recognition.
Yes.
All right, good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. Our first recognition tonight will be our chief testing and some members of the North Little Rock Police Department. They worked with us at our administrators conference back in July, and Dr. Paluski will take it from here with some more remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. This is the superintendent's special recognition, and I want to recognize Chief Testing and his leadership and his keeping us safe as we speak. Not having been here a year, I am so blessed for our school district to have a strong partnership with the North Little Rock Police Department. And I will tell you, in my meetings with Chief Testing and his staff, they have done an outstanding job. And specifically, the members that we're going to recognize tonight had led training this summer with all of our administrators on alert training, on Stop the Bleed. And on behalf of myself and the entire board, we'd like to recognize those individuals. So as I call your name, if you would come up. This honor is presented to Chief Patrick Tessing. For your invaluable service to the students and staff of the North Little Rock School District, we appreciate your commitment in making our school district the best place that it can be. Hey, Chief. Yes, sir. How about, can we do them all at one time? You want to do individuals or all at one time? Okay. Oh. Hang on, Chief. This honor is Representative Officer William Scott. For his invaluable service to the students and staff of the North Little Rock School District, we appreciate your commitment to making our school district the best that it can be. Officer Scott. Thank you so much. Yes, sir. This honor is presented to Officer Dustin Medford. For his invaluable service to the students and staff of the North Little Rock School District, we appreciate your commitment in making our school district the best that it can be. This honor is represented Investigator Ryan Davidson. For his invaluable service to the students and staff of the North Little Rock School District, we appreciate your commitment in making our school district the best that it can be. He's undercover? He's on duty? This honor is presented to Officer Cups. For invaluable service to the students and staff of the North Little Rock School District, we appreciate your commitment to making our school district the best it can be. Officer Cups. Yes, sir. This honor is presented to Sergeant Mark Wiggins. For his invaluable service to the students and staff of North Little Rock School District, we appreciate your commitment to make our school district the best that it can be. Hey, Sergeant Wiggins. Thanks. Yes, sir. You guys want to show your... Yes, we do.
Yes, we thank you.
First time. That's the first time they did recognize. It's all over.
So next we'll have our September 15th through October 15th is Hispanic Heritage Month, where we recognize all of our Hispanic students and their contributions to not only our district but to our country. So to give Hispanic Heritage Month reflections, we have Betsy Campos. Is it Campos or Campos? Campos, okay. She's a student at North Little Rock Middle School 6th grade campus, and I went to her this week, and I was talking to her, and she told me she was nervous, but she did it because she wants to be a good student. Aww. So I want to thank you again for doing this.
Hi, my name is Betsera Campos, but my nickname is Betsy. I am in the sixth grade at North Little Rock Middle School. I have been in the North Little Rock School District since kindergarten. I went to Ridge Road Elementary School. I have 2 brothers and 1 sister. One of my brothers passed away. My other brother is in 2nd grade at Ridge Road. I have a sister at Pikeview. Today I want to talk about Hispanic Heritage Month. It is from September 15 until October 15. Hispanic Heritage Month allows us to celebrate our cultures and to welcome people from other cultures like me. I was born in the United States, but my parents are from Mexico. People have different types of ways to celebrate Hispanic Month, like me and my family. We put on Mexican music, and on Christmas, we like to kiss the baby doll. The baby god is a doll and has clothes that you see people from Mexico wear. We believe kissing the baby god gives us courage and hope. My school is welcoming. It gives me courage when I enter, and I am so happy when I go to school. It helps me understand more English and helps those who don't know how to speak English. Some of my classmates are still learning English, and when they have a question, I tell them what to say so they can learn a little more English. I also have welcomed other Hispanic students who are new to the school. Miss Peck is my ESL teacher. She helps me learn more English and catch up on my assignments. After I graduate from high school, I want to be an art teacher and help students with their art skills. I also want to be trilingual, knowing how to speak English, Spanish, and Chinese. I have subscribed to a YouTube channel called The Stokes Twins. They speak English and Chinese. Thank you for your time. Happy Hispanic Heritage Month.
Good job, Betsy.
You did great.
About a parent.
She did great.
What about the parents?
You have your parents, these are your parents with you? Yes.
Mr. Barnes, could you get a picture with her parents? Okay.
I think Dad just went to the restroom.
Okay.
When Ms. Touchdown reached out to me and asked me if I have a student, and Betsy was the first one who came to mind. There were actually 3 girls who I questioned to see who would want to do it. Betsy's like, I'll do it. I'll do it. She has been nervous, but she's working very hard on her speech. And
She's wonderful.
Madam President, I have a question while we kind of waiting. Betsy, did you go to Ridge Road?
Yes, since kindergarten.
I remember you. You're much taller. Dr. Williams, you remember we went to Ridge Road? They were there?
Gifted and talented. Yes, you are.
Thank you.
Parent North Star.
Good evening to our board president, Dr. Paluski, board members, community, parents, family, and friends. There are many ways to parent. Biological parents, surrogate parents, foster parents, godparents, adoptive parents. Whatever way is chosen, parents share an unconditional love and desire the best for their children. Our Parent North Star for September 2021 are a blessing, humbled and inspiring and well-deserving of this recognition. Prior to having no children, but definitely wanting one, our recipients for many years consulted with medical professionals for support and guidance. Our recipients began to pray together, seeking God's guidance for a child. They wanted a bouncing baby boy. They began to accept where they were and to acknowledge that there were many children who needed a home and parents to raise, support, and love them. They applied and were approved to be foster parents, becoming excited but had that feeling that once a child is placed in this home, it was going to be hard to let them go. Guess what? A baby boy was placed in their home. They were then asked to consider fostering the older brother. They felt that there was no way not to, so they did. Once they met him, he began to talk to them about his other siblings and how he wished they could be in a home with parents that loved and treated them like he was being treated and his brother. Fast forward, in 2007, our North Star recipients adopted all 5 of their children. Today, their grades range from pre-K to 5th grade, representing Indian Hills Elementary and Pikeview Early Childhood. Our recipients are a true reflection of the acronym STAR, supporting teachers achieving results. The Rogers kids, as they are known at Indian Hills, help to make a Teacher's Day run very smooth. During the 2020 virtual school year, Mom transformed areas of the home into a school. She created lesson plans and ensured that each student was logged in and ready to learn daily. The hard work paid off. Upon returning face-to-face, teachers told the parents how they could see their growth and progression and how much instruction had to have taken place during virtual learning at home. She says she heard numerous comments from teachers. Did you work with them? You need to work with us. You did a great job teaching them, and it shows. Jalen, the pre-K student, was watching and learning what was being taught to the older siblings. He was doing math, reading. Mom was so excited that she called my office and asked for support from the district to get him tested. When I asked Dr. Coleman, the principal at Indian Hills, about our recipients, I could immediately hear the warmth and support in her voice, and I could feel her smile over the phone. Her comments, I quote, "She is always willing to help the teachers and her students, making sure they are all okay. She always has a smile. I love her. And I support the Rogers parents being chosen as the Parent North Stars." Mom was asked to join us to talk about foster parenting. She has no idea they were receiving this recognition. They had flag football practice at 5:30, but she said, "Miss Barker, I'm going to get them there, and then we'll go to practice." Dr. Paluski, school board member, staff, North Little Rock community, help me salute our September Parent North Star, supporting teachers, achieving results, Mr. Thaddeus and Latanya Rogers, and the children. that picture is the date of the adoption. Also.
What a blessing.
Mr. and Mrs. Rogers, from one foster parent to an adoptive parent, congratulations and well done. Well done.
Minister Rogers. Madam President, a comment, that's also Minister Thaddeus Rogers, the proud son of the legendary and the late Rochester Rogers, pastor of the New Bible Way Church. And his brother, I think you have all seen, and may not have known it was his brother, who now pastors Greater New Bible Way, is Dennis Rogers, also is the manager of Kroger's on McCain. So one time or another, everybody has been there. Thank you so much for all that you do.
Executive closed session per North Little Rock School District Policy 1.14 states that private or closed discussions by the board may occur as part of a regular or special board meeting. Executive sessions may be held only for the purpose of considering employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, disciplining, or resignation of an employee, or to discuss matters of pupil punishment, if requested by the parent or legal guardian. No resolution, agreement, or motion considered in executive session shall be legally binding unless the board reconvenes in public session and presents the item for vote in membership. Will y'all join me in executive session?
time it was made. Chewy's Tex-Mex.
All right, we are back with board member and superintendent involvement.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Sorry.
7.1 Superintendent Involvement. Thank you, Madam President. On August 26th, let me get this up here. On August 26th, I had the opportunity with my colleagues, Mr.
Tell about the session after the about the hire.
Yeah, we ain't got there yet.
After employment of personnel?
Yeah,
Okay.
wait.
Okay. So on August 26th, I had the opportunity with Mr. Brown, Mr. Hatch, and Mr. Staggers. This was part of our police and courts tour, so we had that opportunity to try to get the lay of the land, the blueprint. On August 27th, I had the opportunity to visit with Dr. Chris Nail, who's the superintendent of colleague now in BB, so I had a great opportunity to network with him. My wife and I on August 27th were at the preseason, the exhibition game, which I saw many of our board members there as well. On August 31st, I was actually contacted to speak at the National Superintendent's Forum in December in San Antonio about the work that we're doing here in the North Little Rock School District. On September the 3rd, I had the opportunity with my colleagues, Dr. Ellsby at the Pulaski Tech, as well as Dr. Jerome Green. We spoke with the chamber about workforce development. It was the first time, my understanding, the superintendent and those presidents have gotten together to talk about education in North Little Rock School District. That was a wonderful opportunity. On September the 7th, Ms. Barker is here and organized that. We had our first superintendent's parent advisory council meeting. I think, Ms. Barker, we had 18 parents. So that has been great. That'll take place monthly. On September the 8th is our once a month mayor's breakfast, in which we work with Chief Testing, other members of the superintendent's staff, just to collaborate, or the mayor's staff, to collaborate. And this week on September the 13th, Mr. Smith and I had an opportunity to attend the LPPC meeting and address some of their concerns. Thank you, Madam President.
Board member involvement?
Oh, yes,
Board member?
I did.
Go for it, Ms. Williams.
You first?
No, you're up.
Oh, okay, thank you. Well, I'm very pleased to say that the Five Pearls Foundation of Zeta Phi Beta sorority, along with the superintendent and Ms. Ratliff, we were able to donate $1,000 to Ms. Riggins for the homeless program that she's involved in. And so that to me was a tremendous something. Also, Mr. Barnes was there, and we thank him. So overall, that was a good thing. Because Mrs. Riggins was so profound on Channel 11 when she talked about our program in North Little Rock, that we felt that there was a need. It's a need all over the country, but for North Little Rock, we thought that this was the most suitable thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
All right, I've got a couple of quick things. Earlier this month, I met with Tina Lee, who's the North Little Rock High School PTSA president, and my wife after school at the high school one day. And we got into our storage that's in the book room and went through all our inventory of shirts and sweatshirts and senior signs. And Tina listed that on our website. So if you need shirts or T-shirts, it's all of our old inventory. It's at reduced prices. Go to our Facebook page, the PTSA Facebook page, and it'll point you to the website. And you can go purchase that, and we'll get it delivered to you. Also met with the Wildcat Foundation, and we approved two academic funding requests for projects that the teachers had requested support for.
Real quickly, I had a chance to attend the ESSER Guidance for School Board training. It was really informative, and it gave some good information as far as the ESSER funding. And then also tonight, if anybody wants to go to Chewy's, their 10% of your meal ticket will go towards Amboy Elementary. So I got to have lunch there with our superintendent. That's it.
And I would say probably to that, the food that we're having for the board tonight is from Chuy's as well to support Amboy Elementary School. And I thank Ms. Wonkum, that was her idea.
Great.
So
Thank you, Ms. Wonkum.
kudos to a lot of support for Amboy today.
Earlier today, the Dark Hollow CDC delivered a lot of health products, masks, sanitation. We have the principal here of 7th Street. Their organization went by and really did a great job of delivering a lot of goods. Should last a long time. Disposable masks and all that, and just supporting our athletic program. Went to the football game team. We got another great football team, and went over to Central to the volleyball game. Didn't turn out too well, but we really have a good volleyball team again this year.
Excellent.
Anybody else?
Okay. Our first and really only information item is 8.1, and as promised to the board, I'm going to ask all my colleagues, Dr. Reynolds, Mrs. Smith, Dr. White. We got the whole team here tonight, Ms. Curlin. Really, we want to provide you with an overview of a variety of data points, but specifically the ACT Aspire, the ACT, English Proficiency, and Advanced Placement data. Really from what you're going to see and the public's going to see is some trend data, but more specifically what we want to focus on is really the last 2 years. And I preference this as my colleagues are getting ready, as we've talked about the 100-day transition plan report. There was a slide in there from Pace University talking about learning loss. And there's not a school district across the country that's not experiencing a loss because of the pandemic, and we're going to see some examples of that. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Reynolds. You're going to be leading us, and your colleagues, would you everybody like to introduce themselves to our board and the public?
Certainly. Thank you, Dr. Paluski. Good evening, board members. My name is Brooke Reynolds, and I am the district testing coordinator, so I will be leading the discussion, and I'll let everyone else introduce themselves.
Good evening, board members. I'm Leanne Alexander, Executive Director of Special Services. Good evening, board members. Lori Smith, Executive Director of Elementary.
Good evening, Dr. Sharissa White, Executive Director of Secondary Education.
Bonnie Curlin, I'm the coordinator for Gifted and Talented Education, which also includes advanced placement at the high school and novice teacher mentoring and retention.
Wow. And good evening, I'm Maria Touchstone, the ESL coordinator, K-12.
The purpose of our presentations tonight is to provide an overview of our district's educational assessments, which is going to include some comparison to state averages and some points and trends over time. We're going to start out with our ELPA exam, which is our English Language Proficiency exam. It's given to students grades K through 12 that are identified as ESL students. So an overview of the data from last year is as follows. As you can see, we had 100 students that are in the emerging category, so that's about 19% of the students that took the test. As you can see, 530 took the full test. 383 students, or 72%, were in the progressing, so in that middle level. And then we had 47 students, which is 9% of our students, that are in the proficients. So that gives them the opportunity to be exited from the program with some additional data points. The next slide is a 5-year trend proficiency. So this is our K-5 group here. Wanted to highlight the green and the blue, just kind of to let you know those are still what we consider pandemic years. So those are, just, if you can see a little bit of a difference, those are years when, we may have some struggling because of, the instruction getting disrupted during that 1920 school year. And then, of course, some students, in the whole 2021 school year last year dealing with quarantining, things getting canceled, and some virtual students, some face-to-face. So just kind of pointing out that those years are going to be a little bit different. The next slide is our 6 through 12 students in the same situation. The highlighted is wanted to kind of point out that those are those years during the pandemic. This is from just our past school year, is our district and state comparison. So again, this is grades K through 5, and the green are what our district had proficient, and then compared to what the state had proficient last year. The next slide again shows our 6 through 12, same thing, our district's proficiency and the state proficiency. Going through the next several slides, and I think you all probably have this information, it's each school's proficiency, and this is a historical data. So starting back from 1819, 1920, 2021, so this goes each school showing how many students were proficient and the percentage of those students in each school that are proficient. So again, we go through Amboy and goes through all of the schools. And I'll pause here with the ELPA point of the presentation to answer any questions or any clarifications you all may need.
I have, Dr. Reynolds?
Yes, ma'am.
In looking at the whole packet, I just want to ask you one simple question.
Sure.
Looking at these scores and they were so subpar, is it due because of it was still a part of the pandemic? That's the key question I want to ask you.
I'll let Ms. Touchstone also answer some of those since she's the coordinator, but I think a lot of it has to do with, yes, we were dealing with pandemic situations. We did have quite a few of our ESL students that were virtual and may have had a little bit of a struggle at times. We missed quite a bit of direct instruction during those times. Thinking about just the number of schools that had to shut down last year, and even though they did receive instruction, absolutely, it wasn't the direct instruction sitting in the classroom at all times. So we got to take those kind of things into consideration, and then I'll let Ms. Touchstone address anything else as well.
Okay, the reason I ask, I know in 2020 there was no testing. You stated that in your report. But, so I would not be feeling so terrible about what I've read. I was thinking, I know we say 1920, but then the 2021, we were still seemingly in pandemic.
Correct.
And I don't know how many of these students were on virtual,
Right.
getting help, or face to face.
Right.
That was the key question. But Ms. Touchstone, you can say whatever you like.
Thank you for that question. We can begin by saying that during the first part of the pandemic year, we have to remind ourselves that the only testing subpopulation that actually completed the assessment were the English language learners, because that's an earlier testing window. It started at the end of January, and we were finished by the first week in March. So they actually did test.
Mm-hmm.
And so this population that is high mobility, high poverty, definitely quite a challenge with technology. And we also know that many English language learners are not only one grade behind grade level, but may even be pre-literate in their native language. So depending on all of those factors, when did they arrive in the United States? Do they have interrupted formal education back home? We're getting a lot of recent immigrants at the middle school and at the high school. So we're talking about kids that are substantially behind. And with the instruction that we had in place with no ELD curriculum, teachers were working hard. But now that you have approved the EL Achieve ELD curriculum that we needed, you also gave us additional teachers to make sure that we provide appropriate services. We will be able to provide what they need, which is daily interventions, beginning with the speaking and the listening domains, or they will never get to the reading and writing domains. So it's a very complicated, some of those numbers are quite alarming when you see a 0%, but remember that maybe that school had 2 English language learners in first grade, and so there were only 2 students that took the test, and so that 0%, if those 2 were recent immigrant, newcomer, they're called RAILs, or recently arrived English learners, then we may have moved them in one domain, the first domain because they were working hard and so were the teachers and the principals and everybody else, but that's not going to show as proficiency. I remind you that it takes 7 to 11 years to become proficient, fully proficient in a second language. So keeping that in mind while you're looking at all those percentages, percent proficient is a little, I don't think it gives you the true picture, but we do have some charts that show you percent growth by domain. And that gives you a clearer picture of the work that is going on. And we have teachers that are working as hard as they can work and students that are working as hard as they can work. And so I believe that we're going to see that this is going to be a game changer with EL Achieve in our district.
Thank you.
All right, Madam President, I've got a quick question. Also this one is for Ms. Touchstone, I should say. So I was going to ask this, then I decided not to, but then you said something that made me want to do it again. I was thinking that if I wanted to follow a single population of kids, that I could like go diagonally down the chart, right? Because they're kindergartners 1 year, first graders next. But you used the word high mobility.
High mobility.
Which means it's largely a different group of kids each year. Like, you know, I can't assume that the first graders at Amboy in year 1 are the second graders in year 2. From a percentage basis, what's the change? I mean, do you have any idea? Is it 10%? Is it 20?
It would be very difficult to give you a percentage,
right,
and even be close.
Okay.
It changes all the time. Our teachers constantly, and that's part of the challenge, that they constantly are dropping students and adding students new to the country. And so that makes it very, very challenging to get an accurate picture from a chart with numbers.
Right.
You know, the reality is this is a high mobility, high poverty, very challenging population to serve, and the same thing is being faced all over the state and all over the country.
Right. I'm not trying to make excuses. I just think we need to contextualize this. And so I think, and I think you would agree, that we haven't always served these kids the best that we could have served these kids. We could have put more resources. I'm not saying you haven't done that, but the district may not have put the resources in place to help these kids out. And that's at the end of the day what we need to do.
I would agree.
And I think you feel like we're much better off now with what we're putting into place today than we have been.
Yes, sir.
I mean, we want to get these numbers up. I just wanted to understand the numbers and the situation, because
Yes, sir.
I'm not in the school every day. I don't see the things you see. So thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We're going to move on to our next test to discuss, and that's the ACT. These scores are strictly based on when we give the 11th graders this test in March. We were able, just pointing out, we were able to give this test before the shutdown in 1920, so the students did take this test. And of course, we were able to test last year as well. So what you're looking at here is the historical data. Looking at the high school, of course, the COE was not in existence for 2 years, so that's why you're seeing an NA there. And then you're looking at what the state of Arkansas's average was for this particular test for the 11th graders. And again, we do have students taking these tests at other times, but this is strictly based on our 11th grade test in March. And then if you want to look, the next slide is, the high school. Again, the ACT is the American College Testing. So this is just last year, so this is just a 2021. Again, we had that average of 16.5. Basically, 360 students out of 463 took the test. Remembering also that you had to come to school to take this test. There was no at-home testing option. So that's why that number may not be as high. It's because students did not feel comfortable coming to the building. So that's why you may see that number. And then you have in each area the average composite score in the reading, math, and science. Moving on to the trend data here, again, just showing you what was earlier, but it's broken down on one slide. You can see the composite score at the high school for the past 5 years. The COE, again, the same situation. Their average was a 17.2. They had 70 out of their 77 students take the test, and you can see their averages on each of the components. And then their trend, again, they didn't have those first 2 years. You can see their testing average across the area. So I'll go ahead and pause here at the end of the ACT and see if we had any questions based on the ACT data.
I do. I
Yes,
have
ma'am.
one question. What programs or what do we have in place to try to improve this? Because, you know, college level, it has changed, and they want an 18. And so I see that we're not meeting that mark.
I'm going to let Dr. White answer that question, our executive director of secondary.
Thank you for that question. So I would say, first of all, we do have ACT test prep courses. We do have Naviance now that we've had for 2 years. That's assisting students. But most importantly, it's covering the standards, and it's covering the essential standards, and then also incorporating vocabulary instruction in there as well. And so we're being targeted this year in secondary around picking out vocabulary words that we need to teach explicitly to students, and then implicitly. So that's a big piece too. Also, you know, reading levels are low. And so also it's the support of decoding, getting those students to be able to decode, and then just reading complex text as well. So I think coupled with our reading courses, our ACT test prep, our vocabulary focus, that's really where we're going to see a difference in these ACT scores. But then also you have to keep in mind that, you know, it's multi-subjects, right? It's timed. There's discrepancies, right, in some of the selection of the answers. So I think also just being targeted around helping students to understand how to take these tests. So those test-taking skills as well, that's incorporated in some of the courses as well will help.
How many times do they have the opportunity to take it?
So in this district, they just have that one time to take it. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, because of the pandemic situation, we were offered the opportunity by ACT to give the test again to our students in the fall, and we have acted upon that. So October 19th, any junior and senior that wanted to take the test again because they missed it or whatever, they're given that opportunity. So we're giving them another opportunity on the district's expense to allow them to take that at school. And so I'm really excited that we're going to do that. So we're going to have it this fall, and then again next March, the juniors will be able to take it through the state.
Yes, thank you.
A question, could you explain, you said the low number of students taking the test may have affected the score. Could you expound on that?
No, that didn't affect the score. I just said the reason why there was a low number of students was because they had to come to school, and they may have decided not to come to school. So that it didn't affect the score. It just, that's why you may have seen a lower number take the test at the high school. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Because not everybody felt comfortable coming on campus last year to take the test.
And is there any evidence out there that these prep programs help? Have we been able to determine that? Are they doing what they're supposed to do?
So that's a good question. So really you have to take into account each student and what they're doing in the program and how that's being monitored. So technically, the answer is yes, those prep programs work, but there again, it's what you put into it, is what you get out of it. And one of the things that I'll be doing is monitoring Naviance closely with that ACT test prep course. I didn't do that last year, but this year I will make sure that I am monitoring that as well as the course that we offer for test prep.
And lastly, legislature passed the super score legislation that went into effect. Did that affect any of our scores?
Well, we just look at that composite score. So, you know, now ACT, because I have a child taking it and looking at those, now when ACT reports it to the students, which they report, anything they take through us, they see those scores on their big report. ACT now shows what your composite is, and it also says, and here's your super score. So we don't get those in our reports, but the students definitely can see those when they read their individual reports. They see that what that super score is too. The ACT is transitioned, so now all the reports do show that.
Thank you.
Sure. This person was, I think, yeah.
Dr. White, really quick. As far as, I have to remember what I was going to ask you. As far as like the ACT prep course, is this something that they have to sign up for? Is this something that's required? And also, my next part of that question is this communicated to the parents that this is offered?
So that's a good question. So no, it would be elective. They have to sign up for it. It's not required for graduation. Absolutely not. As far as parents knowing and understanding about it, one of the things that I know that Dr. St. Louis and Ms. Wisnat will be doing is making sure they have family nights this year. You know, the pandemic affected some of that, but they will be rolling out more virtual parent sessions, and then if approved, bringing in families to really help them to understand what the high schools offer the students.
Okay, and then my next question, I know you said that it was an elective, but is it any other type of ACT prep class, like they can maybe come after school or like after school or before school? Is it anything like that they can participate in as far as a prep?
So, this summer we rolled out ACT test prep in our summer learning, and what principals are looking at doing is offering that through after school and also on Saturdays. So that is coming.
Good. Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
So am I hearing that we're using one ACT prep, or are we using two ACT prep programs?
Yeah. So one ACT test prep program through a course, but it also incorporates Naviance, which is a virtual learning platform that simply just supplements, enhances that course.
Okay, so back in 2018, 2019, the board attempted to purchase a third ACT prep, and I was a non-board member at that time, and I brought it to their attention that, again, they're wasting money for a third program. So my question is, where's the first program? Or where's the second program? If we're only using one, where's the other? Because we had purchased two prior to, Tracy, what was your friend, Charity? What was Charity's program? Charity had a program, and they wanted to buy that ACT program, but we didn't do it. So anyway, my point is, we're using one instead of two. We purchased two. Where's that other one?
Yes.
And is it even significant?
Yes, I can't answer where the other one is because I wasn't here. But Naviance is offered through the state. It is recommended and vetted by DESE. And so what happens is they actually take care of part of the cost. So we only pay a portion.
Okay.
So that, and then we actually take care of Naviance out of Perkins. So our Perkins funds takes care of that.
Okay. All right.
All right, quick question. In the past, you mentioned it's an elective, but in the past, the ACT prep was, I'm pretty sure, done during their flex block. So they didn't have to take it in lieu of a credit. Is that still the case?
So they still also offer through Flex as well.
Okay.
That's where they use Naviance. That's where they use that virtual platform.
Okay, so that would be virtual through Flex, so it's self-directed.
Computer-based, yeah.
Okay, but there's also a class they can take that is a class, it's a block.
Yes,
okay.
but it also incorporates Naviance as well.
Okay,
it has
thank you.
the paper pencil textbook.
Right. All right, thanks.
All right, thank you all.
One more question, real quick. I'm sorry, I just thought about something, Dr. White. My apologies. Do they have an opportunity within this class to take pre-test to see where they stand at any given time, or they have like set times to maybe say, okay, let me go ahead and take this pre-test?
Absolutely, and that's what Naviance offers.
Okay.
It's adaptive, which means you have the pre-test, and then of course it will develop a plan specifically for each student. Yeah.
What grade do they start that in? Do they start that in ninth grade?
Starting ninth grade, absolutely. Yes, Naviance is, actually we have Naviance, we ordered it this year for 6th grade, so we have Naviance now 6-12.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Dr.
Okay, moving on. We're going to talk about the ACT Aspire next. And ACT Aspire assesses English, reading, math, science, and writing. It's a summative report, and so a student may score in need of support, close, ready, or exceeding. To be considered proficient on the ACT Aspire, you must score in the ready or exceeding categories of those previous four. We're going to show bar graphs in a moment through each school, talking about which students are considered, percentage of students that are considered proficient. School students grades 3 through 10 take this test. And just to kind of put a reminder out there, we were not able to test in 2020. So you're going to see a gap in test scores because school closures happened before this test was given in 2020. So a little bit of a comparison piece here. This data is pulled from the University of Arkansas. They do a lot of the data gathering for the state. So the University of Arkansas does these. So you're going to see, and I have it out there on these, that you see a column that has 2 percentages in there, and that's because one year they decided to report English and reading separately, and other years they reported it as a combined score. So that's why you're going to see 2 scores in there. So you can see starting in 15-16, the green bar up at the top in math is the state scores, and then the blue beneath it is what our district scored those years. ELA is next. It again has those state scores. And you'll see that the first score percentage proficient is English and those double blocks, and then reading is that second score, so English is higher, and it goes on through. And again, our scores were broken down as well in that blue column for ELA, the first score in those 2 years, English is first, reading is second. And lastly, you see science, and you see the state science scores, and then you can see our district science scores. So that's our historical data in comparison with the state. So again, each of these next few slides are just going to show each school and the students that are proficient. So this is only showing their proficiency in writing. For some reason, they don't break down writing as a separate score. They just show those 4 main categories. Writing gets lumped in when they give a final ELA score. That's where writing comes into play. So they don't give a separate one. So that's why you're not seeing a writing component. So I'll just scroll through these and pause at the end, and you can look through those. And if you have any questions for us, Dr. White is here, of course, for secondary, and Ms. Smith for elementary. So if you see anything that you'd like to ask a question about, this is elementary, then we'll move on to secondary, because I've got a slide for elementary talking about reading levels. So any questions for elementary on just the basic ACT Aspire scores?
I have a question for elementary. It concerns me really, really bad when you look at the state and the district proficiency comparison, that in some areas we're not even close. That's real concerning, because that means that we're already at a disadvantage even further when a child takes the ACT. I do realize that every child doesn't have the same structure and support system. That may be the next one. I was fortunate. I had 2 parents that made sure that I had every tool that I needed. And I was able to take the ACT twice with no problem. But we ain't even close on anything. Like, so what is, I guess, a plan, or is there a plan in place to try to at least close the gap just a little bit? And are you in position to make sure that you hold instructors accountable for making sure that that gap gets closed? Because that's not good. Right. And that's really a bad look on the whole district.
Absolutely. So clarify for me, Brooke, though, is this 3.5 or is this 3.10?
This comparison is a 3.10. This is the entire district. This is a 3.10 comparison. Okay. Then we go into the elementary, right, just by school.
Yeah. So just wanted to make sure that we recognize that those composites are 3.12 or 3.10. 3.10, not specifically elementary, but absolutely we are very concerned. The scores are definitely not where they need to be, and even for the schools that have higher scores, they're not really even, where we would want them to be. Absolutely. So at the end of the slide presentation, we have linked in. All schools have school improvement plans, and if we think about this in a historical context, we really up to 1920, we did not have a guaranteed and viable curriculum, especially in elementary. Teachers were spending their time kind of gathering resources from all different places. At that point, we had state standards, but we did not have a solid curriculum. So in 1920, that is when the board adopted the Wilson reading system. All the teachers were in the district were RISE trained on the new science of reading. Basically, the research that the state did showed that overall as the state, we were not performing. Even the state numbers obviously are not good at all. But so that's when the state had the big initiative to put the RISE training in, science of reading. Every teacher was required to get in elementary 6 days of very intensive RISE training. So now we look at the foundational reading skills, phonemic awareness, phonics. We look at that very differently in kindergarten through third grade to make sure students have those foundational reading skills. So that is in place now. And again, 1920, we went home. We didn't even get to finish that year with curriculum. And then last year, again, came in, several students started virtual. We had a huge population that fluctuated back and forth between virtual to on-site. Teachers were having to teach dual roles. They were having to teach in person and then also virtual. So I think it's just really kind of set up for the perfect storm as far as not being able to make the gains that we feel like we're really going to see once we can implement this curriculum the way that it's intended and solid implementation. Principals now have a better understanding of what the look-fors are. We've worked with the Wilson trainers to make sure that principals are very much aware of what each classroom should look like. We are looking at instructional minute audits because principals, once we look at what's going on in a school day, we realize that we need to tighten up that instruction, making sure that transitions are effective, that we're not wasting time. And then principals having PGP conferences, professional growth goal conferences with them right now, letting them know that we as a district are going to be looking at data every week. We're going to be looking at the number of times they get in classrooms to observe teachers, the number of times they do focus walks where they pop in to make sure that again, they are meeting the instructional minutes, that they are on schedule, that they are, delivering that curriculum in the way that it should be delivered. So absolutely, this is very concerning. Principals are very concerned. Teachers are very concerned. There is a sense of urgency. I made it very clear to all teachers through the pre-service training that the board now has supported us in purchasing this curriculum. It's not going to be optional. I mean, teachers are going to have to, and they will be held accountable for making sure that this curriculum is delivered, and that we are teaching the standards. As Dr. White mentioned, those essential standards, we know that those are absolutely the non-negotiables, that every kid in every grade needs to have these set standards mastered before they move on to the next grade. If we can get that tightened up, that's going to make a huge difference. But we do realize that this is definitely not where we want to be. But everybody, again, with the interruptions, not to make excuses because we know there are definitely some work to be done. But everybody is definitely committed. And principals know we're going to be looking at that data and getting in the classrooms with them.
Well, as I said, Ms. Smith, prior to that, I am not being critical. We see with our own eyes, but we have to realize there was a COVID. Many children, parents was not giving them support.
Absolutely.
With those children that were coming face to face. But I know this is one night, the day while the board will be considering the curriculum audit. We approved you all to give you all everything, and I want to commend you all. First, want to commend the teachers for even considering a curriculum audit. So every school will be on the same page. And a special thanks to Dr. Paluski for listening to teachers and bringing it back to us as board. And when I look at this is not a true reflection of North Little Rock. There were things that happened and we couldn't help it. Right. Pandemic. So therefore, and speaking as a board member, it's no reflection on the teachers nor the principals. There were children who did not have what they needed to have. They did not have the main thing, the support of parents. So I'm simply saying to you all, in reading all of this is not North Rock, and I know it because when I look back at other years, we have done better. And I see everybody can really speak English, so English is going high, but there are other things, and I trust you all as administrators. You're gonna move forward all that we're offering to you, and I just feel good about it. And these scores that I'm looking at, I understand why they are, and I cannot hold any of you administrators accountable for COVID. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question. 2020, you said we purchased Science of Reading and the RISE program, the new curriculum. Wit and Wisdom, that's also falls in that category, correct?
Correct.
So my question is, are we implementing these programs?
Oh, yes.
Well, we've purchased them, but
Absolutely. We implemented them the first year, and we got off to a great start. And that particular year, you know, it was a big lift for teachers because we purchased the Wit and Wisdom, we purchased the Wilson, and we purchased Eureka Math.
Yes.
Many schools had already kind of been dabbling and using Eureka Math, but that first year, our focus was the Wilson, was that foundational reading with the Wilson. That was a non-negotiable. Teachers embraced that. They did a great job, and then we went home in March. The second year, last year, when we came back, they felt pretty confident about the Wilson again because they'd done it, you know, at least for a half a year. And then that year, or last year, we basically said Wit and Wisdom, non-negotiable. It is a very, very heavy lift of a program, and it does take some preparation, but what we told teachers was we would much rather you spend your time learning and prepping for those modules than going out trying to find something to teach, because those are very research-based, high-level, very rigorous programs. So last year, not only did we tell teachers, well, you have to teach these kids in front of you, but you also have to teach kids virtually, but you also have to implement this program with the fidelity. And we missed the mark on that because they were, you know, their hair was on fire. They were doing the best they could. So that's why this year we feel a little better. We still have a few virtual students, but teachers are focused on the kids they have in front of them, obviously, and they're doing it. They're implementing that. So we're putting, like I said, we will be in classrooms. Principals are in classrooms. We're looking at that data weekly of how many times principals have been in classrooms to evaluate and give feedback to teachers. So yes, we are implementing. You know, I think with any implementation, you're looking at, you know, 5 to 7 years to really know, because it's, again, there's a lot to it. But we're definitely implementing.
Dr. Reynolds, so the virtual programs that we're using, are we using the same programs that we've purchased?
They are not. They do not use those.
So when they come back to us, there possibly will be a gap, or there will be a disruption.
There's just a difference. It's not going to say that one. They're using a program with the students as well. They have their own that they use. So they're not saying that one's better than the other. They're still getting the program. It's just not the ones that we have.
It's not fluid.
Well, and I just want to add to that, it's not the program, it's the standard.
Correct.
You know, we're
Correct.
still teaching the same
Correct.
standards. Might be a different material, yes.
The last slide for elementary, just an overview. Our students that are reading on grade level. And so again, this is just showing students that were either ready or exceeding in reading. And so that's just a piece that we kind of pulled out that's a little separate. Moving on, again, here's our secondary look. Same situation, we just broke it into two. So then there's the secondary look as well as to where they stood on the ACT Aspire. And again, of course, COE hasn't taken it quite as long. And then again, reading on grade level. So here we have reading on grade level for our secondary students. So as we conclude.
Can I interrupt? You said reading on level or exceeding. So when I was looking at that, what percentage would be reading at level?
If they're categories as ready or exceeding, and that's considered proficient, and they're reading on grade level. And so, so you look along the side of the bar. That's the percentage and how they go up.
All right, I'm missing something.
Okay.
All right, because all I'm seeing is percentages. So is 20% reading at grade level?
Right. So like if you're looking at this slide right here, for 2017, the middle school students, we had 30% reading at grade level and close to 40% of our high school students in 2017.
Okay, I got it, all
Yeah,
right.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
But that's how all the charts are.
Okay.
All right, any other questions on the ACT Aspire before we move forward?
Yes, just a couple of questions. I totally agree with Mr. West. We've got to rally around these kids and do better. I agree COVID has been disastrous, but every school has dealt with COVID throughout the state and throughout the nation. We have to focus on our kids and make sure that they are getting everything that they need. We've improved technology, bandwidth, new computers, 1-to-1 ratio. We've invested in programs. I think everything that's come to the board, I know I voted for, I think most of the board members have voted for. I see, Superintendent, 2 areas that need to be improved. I think community support. I think as soon as we can get back to community involvement, community support, we need help. We need community engagement. And the other thing is parental involvement. I mean, whatever we can do, need to do. I'm hearing that over and over, but I'm not seeing any improvements from year to year as far as parental involvement, parental training, as far as technology. That seems to still be a tremendous gap there. Are there any programs out there that focus on the parent as far as training, technology training, getting them involved? Anybody wants to answer
Well, the short answer is, yes. I mean, obviously, the more that we can engage, and this is certainly Mrs. Barker's area, where one of the things that we've heard loud and clear, certainly from my 100 days, is parents want more training on the curricula. Like, they want to know more about the reading program. They want to know more about science. They want to know more about math. That's certainly one of the best ways to certainly continue to engage. But at the end of the day, it's teacher quality. What that teacher does within that classroom, and interestingly enough, because at our exec team we just started to look at this, is teacher absenteeism. And we're going to be coming to you shortly with some data that I think that we looked at. So we have, in some cases, some of our elementary schools, 325 days where some teachers have been out due to sick leave. So when you start looking at across the district those number of days, that's where we get into the need of substitutes. So I think there's some more that we've got to start to look at as it relates to teacher quality and specifically teacher attendance, because we know that every time that teacher's out of the room and they're not with a high quality teacher, they've got a substitute, or if we don't have substitutes, then they've got paras. It really comes back to that quality of instruction consistently across the board. So this is certainly complex. There's certainly not one silver bullet to this, but I think the alignment process that we're getting ready to go in will certainly make a significant difference.
Now, last year, because of large part of COVID, we got a pass on the school grades.
Correct.
That's not going to happen this year. Is that correct? Have you already heard from the Department of Education?
To my knowledge, we have not. Last year when he gave that, which is why we gave the ACT Aspire, it's another data point. But I have not heard anything yet as to if those accountability measures are still going to go into place for the following year. I'm sure we'll know something shortly, unless staff has a different. But I have not heard anything as it relates to. I know there's a discussion among superintendents about possibly requesting another year, just because simply we know that this is tied to accountability, and I think you could naturally see a lot of slip in grades across the state. So I think we're all advocating that we're still in a pandemic, and we certainly have to still be accountable. But I think given some more time, I think would certainly be what I would recommend.
Thank you.
Just one statement. I agree that the teachers are critical. They are the primary delivery mechanism, but I'm not certain that empowering parents to help their kids is even, I don't know that that's not even not more important, because when you've got kids, and there are parents that want to help their kids and don't know how. Maybe they didn't have the same type of guidance that some other people did, and
Sure.
if a kid's education stops when they leave the classroom, then they're at a huge loss, a huge disadvantage. And so I agree, absences, staff absences, those things we need to tidy that up where possible. But I think we really have to put an emphasis on supporting parents, and it just simple things, not hard things. Simple things like hand your child a book. I mean, mind you, mine doesn't read a whole lot. He'd rather be on his phone or on his video game system. But at least give parents those tools. So I agree with you. The teachers are super important, but the parents are super important too, especially before they show up in kindergarten. That kills us. It kills us that we have kids that have never had a book in front of them, may have not have colored, played with Legos, all those things that develop those skills that are critical to them hitting it with a running start. So I know I know none of us are sitting on our hands here, but we've got to figure out a way to get those kids off to a start that gives them a fighting chance. So.
I appreciate that, Mr. Zakreski. And I will say that the pre-K director, Ms. Maribel Sims, and her curriculum support they are making some amazing changes in our pre-K. More aligned with kindergarten. Those teachers this summer went through RISE training for pre-K. So they are talking the same talk to the littles. They are covering the same kinds of things, except on a much more developmentally appropriate level. But I'm very excited. In fact, I got chill bumps. I'm very excited about what they're doing and the changes that they're making in pre-K to kind of, again, prepare those kids. Because I 100% agree. What we did in the past, I think, was missing the mark. And so I'm very excited that they're embracing that as well.
The last component we have is our advanced placement tests. And so we're looking at trends again as well for the past 5 years. Just also talking about the 2020 school year. So again, this was all taken during pandemic. Students took this test at home. It was a different format. It was a 30-minute test, and students could have any resources open in front of them they wanted to have. Students also could elect not to take the test that year if they did not want to, and they still could get that weighted credit. So that was kind of an overall situation. So you're going to see a stark difference with the 2020 school year, and I just wanted to point out those factors. And then, of course, we move into 2021, which, we did have a lot of effect in that 2021 school year with having some school closures, especially the high school shut down more than, this is high school students, so the high school shut down more than any other campus. We had virtual Fridays, et cetera, et cetera. You all know that. So just, that's kind of just when we're looking at the data, just thinking about those factors that were hitting us in the 2020 testing season and the 2021 testing season. So this is for the high school. Of course, COE is separated. They obviously have been growing their advanced placement program, as you can see from where it started in 2017 to the number of students involved in the 2021. So I'll just pause here if anyone has any questions about the advanced placement data. Okay.
I'd like to speak to Ms. Cohen.
Sure. Ms. Carla.
Yes, ma'am.
How are you doing today?
I'm great, thank you.
Oh, great. How do you go about placing African American students in your advanced placement program?
It is open enrollment, which is good. It means that any student can sign up for any class they want. Teachers try very hard to recruit and promote it to their students in their classroom. So students that are just in their, say, a 9th grade class, the teachers will say, hey, I think you need to be in and then encourage them to enroll. But again, it is open enrollment, so anyone can enroll in that class.
But this is what I'm saying, you know, like most kids sign up for AP class, they get the thoughts of, hey, too complicated, and it really isn't. What kind of thing do we have on the high school level? I guess it's something the counselors would have to be involved in when they get in contact with their students to encourage. But I always noticed that has been in past years, it's been a very low number of African American students. I say students of color.
Yes, ma'am.
In the program.
And it
if
is.
you could work on that
It
for
is
me.
slowly improving, so that actually we were slowly improving all the way up to 2020. 2020, the pandemic year, the students that tested changed. So you can see the numbers that dropped, like the numbers of students, the numbers of exams. And what happened with that, of course, is they had the 30-minute exam. There were a couple of reasons that potentially excluded some students just from the testing itself, because we provided devices, but they had to try to access the internet. They had to try to access College Board. The very first week of testing, it crashed, so that College Board had, I don't know how many students, they said 2% were unable to test. 2% across the nation is a lot of students. And I had one young lady call me crying that she had sat for her 30-minute test, she hit submit, nothing happened. She called College Board, they called me, I called College Board, they had issues. So after that first week, College Board adapted a bit so that anyone taking tests the second week, which was a totally different set of tests, so like AP English Lit, they were out of luck. But the students taking AP Bio the second week, they were fine because College Board made adaptations for that. But that itself excluded some students and created a problem. So that was the pandemic creating that problem. Our demographics and enrollment have gradually improved until, of course, that whole testing mess happened. They are slightly better this year than they've been in the past. So it's slow, but we're gradually getting those numbers up. It's slower than we would all want it to be.
Well, thank you for all you do, but I know you need to work on that in that
Yes, ma'am.
60%.
Yes, ma'am.
Students of color. That's right. And you don't even have a 1% ratio of students in the AP classes. That's not concerning.
Well, for
it?
AP.
Give me that number.
Yeah, in 2021, so for last year enrollment, we had, and I'm double checking my numbers here. I've got 48% of our white students and 37% of our African Americans. So that's better. When I came in 2009, it was really upside down. It was 73% to like whatever 20-something, or it was terrible. And so going 48-37, it's getting better. It's just not it doesn't reflect our district.
Okay, and I certainly thank you for your data, because the board wouldn't have never known it, I guess, if I hadn't asked you.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
those were questions that have come to me, but thank you, that's very good to know, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Keep up the good work, Ms. Coleman.
I'm trying.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a blessed
Lots of help from teachers and counselors, too.
Okay, then, thank you.
Any other AP questions before we move on?
No, you're good report.
The last slide is a link to the district support and the school improvement plans, which were alluded to earlier, so those are available electronically. And then finally, here we all are. So if you have any other questions beyond this, there's all of our contact information. And of course, we would entertain any questions you have that way.
So rebuttal. Again, I asked about the implementation of the programs that we have purchased, but I noticed go back one slide, please, ma'am. On the school improvement plans, it says that we are going to implement the programs that I specifically asked for. So is that something that just carries over? We're just gonna reiterate that we're making sure those programs are being used?
Right.
Because as of right now, the public sees that we're not implementing them because they're on the improvement plan list. So we need to clarify that we are using them, we are implementing them.
Continue implementation.
And we will continue.
Right, absolutely.
Correct.
Okay.
I've got many questions. My text messages is still vibrating right now regarding those questions. So
Okay.
can we please clarify that?
Yeah,
Because that is a major concern coming to me right now. Okay?
So let me just make sure I'm clear. So are your questions around that, and your text message that you're getting, are they that we're not implementing? Is that, I just want to make sure that we're clear.
I'll just
on-
read one for just for clarification. Why does the school improvement plan talk about implementing wit and wisdom and science of reading when this was adopted 2 years ago? Why have they not already been implemented? So that's just one text message of 19 that I have right now, okay?
Sure. We'll be happy to clarify that. But I would say, that's our core program. That's what we're implementing. I think the next level really to that is monitoring the level of implementation. Because we're implementing the core program, but monitoring whether it's the fidelity classroom to classroom.
And I would say for secondary, we are implementing, because like I told you last time, this is going to be a training year for us, because we didn't receive the training a couple years ago, and the academy was not involved, and it was all as well, so we are implementing for secondary, so
There
to
you
see
go.
that for us, it is accurate.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Great job.
Great job, great job.
Madam President, members of the board, consent agenda items 9.1, August 2021 bank reconciliation, 9.2, August 2021 board report, and 9.3, August 2021 check register, and 9.4 items for approval in the consent agenda.
Madam President, I move that we accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, Madam President, members of our board. Action item 10.1, employment of personnel. The superintendent recommends the employment of personnel as discussed in executive closed session.
Madam President, I so move that we accept the personnel that Dr. Paluski has presented to us.
Second.
Moved and properly second. Any discussion?
Aye.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, Madam President and members of our board. It is my pleasure to introduce to the public Dr. Tori Hooper from the Houston Independent School District as our next deputy superintendent, and we'll be working on a date of transition, which I do anticipate at least for 2 years and 2 months. Well, that would be a long time. And I look forward to the opportunity to welcoming her to our family here in the North Little Rock School District. I thank you for your support.
Very good.
We have disposition of minutes.
Action item 10.1, disposition of minutes. Yes, ma'am.
Madam President, I so move that we accept the disposition of minutes starting from June 3rd, going to September the 9th.
Second.
All right. Moved and properly second. Any discussion?
Can you list those off, Ms. Wonka?
Yeah, you have to lift those minutes.
Do we actually have to?
Yeah.
Okay, I was kidding, but.
You do.
Mr. Steele is correct.
June 3rd, June 4th, June 17th, June 24th, July 1st, July 8th, July 15th, July 28th, August 5th, August 11th, August 19th, September 2nd, September 9th. No wonder we're tired.
Second.
A lot of work.
All right, it's been seconded?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So all in
Thank you,
favor?
Ms. Walkham.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, Madam President, members of our board. Action item 10.3 is solution tree quote, and I'll ask Mrs. Smith, our Executive Director of Elementary Education and the proud principal of 7th Street Elementary School, Mr. Collins, to do a very, very brief presentation on some use, I believe, of some school improvement funds and how Mr. Collins and his staff wish to use those. Welcome, Mrs. Smith, again, and welcome, Mr. Collins.
Yes, good evening again, Madam President, members of the board. I am so excited that Mr. Marcus Collins is here, and he's going to share with you some information and a request for some funding that his school receives. and what he would like to do with those funds. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Collins.
Thank you. First of all, I want to say good evening to the board members, also Dr. Paluski and all the district personnel that's in the building right now. Like Dr. Paluski said, I am the proud principal of 7th Street Elementary School. My name is Marcus Collins once again. And I just want to say in this presentation, we have a big task at 7th Street. This is my 5th week, and we've already made leaps and bounds when it comes to the culture and climate of 7th Street. I've gotten so many parents that has called teachers, talking about our climate, student interactions between the teachers and myself. They're excited about it, and also teachers. So that's just the tip of the iceberg. I have the ability to motivate students, but once again, that's the tip of the iceberg. So I believe that this presentation solution tree can better help with the bigger issues that we have at 7th Street. So I'm just going to get into the presentation of the purpose of solution tree proposed services. Service will be based on data and will address the areas found in the school assessment, in the needs assessment. System/process will be put in place and based on these needs that meet 7th Street Elementary's mission and vision. Proposed timeline is based on the data collected during the needs assessment. Prior year on-site coaching, 18 days. Expected outcomes is a positive school culture and environment, which we are doing right now, and then student achievement. Here are the services that we feel like we need at 7th Street. Professional development, the use of research-based practices to assist in the development of PLCs, and that's going to be a major part of what we do. Once again, that's going to be the bigger part of the iceberg, is getting into classrooms and seeing exactly how we can support teachers and bringing that data to PLCs and breaking that down. Once again, we're focused on Tier 1 instruction, which is the teaching, the core of teaching. Provide that one-on-one support for staff. And what I like about Solution Tree is going to be tailored to 7th Street, tailored to our vision and our mission. This is our proposed timeline. Year 1 is basically that transforming school culture. Once again, building those bridges with parents and the community has been a top priority, because I've gotten feedback that our community just lost trust in 7th Street. And now I just got that feel within 5 weeks that we're building those bridges back. Good. And so you see in year 1, customizing teaching and learning, focus on creative learning, encouraging risk-taking, sharing responsibility and trust, focus on literacy and numeracy, effective feedback and coaching, which is key. Year 2, and that date is to be determined, really focus deep dive within our professional learning communities. Effective PLCs are 4 core PLC questions: mutual accountability and support, how to work collaboratively in team, dissecting essential standards. I know Dr. White has mentioned that. That is key, is looking at the standards and how it's being taught to students, and can students apply those standards. And focus on learning and data-driven decision-making.
Sorry.
Expected outcomes: improve school culture and climate, more collaboration among staff, increased focus on teaching and learning, specifically addresses the deficiencies in all subject areas, more effective professional learning communities, building collective efficacy, data-driven decision-making. And through this process of working with Solution Tree, the content specialists and coaches, 7th Street Elementary is aiming for the very best with our vision of being the school with an A mindset. We believe that our goal will be achieved in a short period of time. This is our vision, the school with an A mindset. Our mission, 7th Street Elementary will lead with empathy to educate the whole student with a keen focus on academic excellence and student success. And my parents, teachers, and students know they have a principal that loves celebrating academic excellence. Here's where our funding is coming from. It's our Title I 1003 School Improvement Grant. As you see that price tag on that, and this fund will expire and must be encumbered by September the 30th.
Very good.
Can you go back to that previous slide?
Because we don't have it in here, okay.
1:30. All right,
Question, if you don't mind.
go for it.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Very good report. Congratulations on your grant, first of all. And you're doing some good things. I've been hearing in the community that you are simply wonderful.
Thank you.
And the superintendent like to hear good things. And it seems like you all on the same mindset. You already school already.
That's where our mindset is at. Yes, that's where our mindset is
Call
at.
you Master P.
Yeah.
Mr. Collins,
Yes.
thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Being the principal over at 7th Street, that's a great thing. I'm also noticing, I went back, July 1st, we had 232 students enrolled in your school, granted prior to your arrival there, and now we're at 295 enrolled. So congratulations
Thank
again,
you.
that's a great achievement.
Thank you.
So following up with that, the priority schools, the PLC at work, absolutely, you can have whatever you want. I'm already seeing growth. Come to us anytime. My answer is yes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
With that being said, Dr. P, we have used Solution Tree before, correct?
We-
So they've
we-
already
We
been on
have
record. Okay.
predominantly through Title I funds, and correct me wrong, Ms. Smith, schools that are below a C usually will get more different funding. Most of that funding has been used in Ms. Ratliff. I see Boone Park, Ridge Road as an example, have not the allocation that Mr. Collins has, but they do get some additional funds to target.
Very good, very good.
And they do. They've been receiving these 1003A grants. And so Mr. Collins has this amount due. And so if we don't use it by September 30th, we lose it. He also is receiving $200,000 more for this school year. And he can't access those funds until these are used first.
Okay.
And so these funds are to help our schools in most need of school improvement right now.
Okay, that's great news. Thank you.
Madam President, just a comment. Great work. Let's really go after some of those non-traditional businesses. There are a lot of businesses over there that are non-traditional, that want to get involved in the community, and we'll reach out to them as well and get their support. It's really a community school, and the community really, as you can already see in just a few weeks, will rally, but they have to be invited and have to be asked, and hopefully God that this COVID will give us an opportunity at some point to start getting reacclimated back into the community. And Madam President, at the proper time, I have a motion.
I would, Mr. Collins, would you share with them your parking lot parlay event?
Yes, we have a PTA parking lot parlay, and what we're doing is myself, staff members are taking it outside, letting parents stay outside in their vehicles, and the ones that walk across the street, we're going to section that off as far as making sure it's 6 feet apart, and just grilling hot dogs and passing it out to all the parents and making sure that they know about our Title I, and then just ramp up our PTA. We want as many as possible, and you mentioned partnerships. We have a business meeting with all of our partners, and as many that we can get at the end of this month, because I have a lot of ideas of incentives, because like I said, I want to be a school that celebrates student success, and I want to kind of present to our business partners what I am doing to be transparent, and so far we got a lot of feedback, and so I'm looking forward to that meeting.
And across the street, New Tyler Barber College, they will provide free haircuts to the kids
Yes,
as well.
we've already sent out some flyers.
Good, you're already on it.
That's great.
I'm hoping to have this meeting somewhere the last week of September. We haven't solidified all of our business partners just yet, but we've already reached out to some, and it seems like the last week of September is when we're going to have this meeting.
Okay, good job.
How do you do it, though?
How am I doing the meeting?
Yes.
The first meeting will be a Zoom meeting.
No, what I'm saying is, how are you soliciting partners? That's what I'm saying.
Well, we have basically just through either social media or people have called and said, hey, you know, we didn't feel invited in the past. And now we want, you know, is there opportunity for us to partner with you? I said, sure, tell your friends. You know, this is what we're about, is connecting with the community. Yeah. And we have went on community walks. I think I did that the first, before school started. Community walks, just going out and letting the people know that, hey, I'm here, we're here to build bridges. And that's basically how we've been getting our partners, and just picking up the phone with the people that have supported us maybe 2, 3, 4 years ago, and saying that, hey, it's okay, this is how you can support us, and just being transparent on how they can help.
Okay, well, highlight, man, I want to know one thing before you go. My sorority has been holding all of these goods. You know, one time, as you saw, I heard what you said, we used to have a partnership with, they said, Adopt a School with 7th Street, and we have always had, you know, stuff kids could use. You know what I'm talking about.
School supplies.
And our thing is, I told them at this time there is a protocol, you know, in place in our district. But since you mentioned that partnership, you need to give me a little bit more information on that, so I know how, so we can get rid of all the stuff we got. We just been holding on to it.
Yes, ma'am.
And but for years, 7th Street has been the school that we have always said, adopt a school. We have to give you X amount of dollars too for money.
Yes, ma'am.
Monetary, you know. So if you do give me that and give me the Zoom time and all of that,
sure will.
so we can be invited.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Just, Madam President, real quickly, I just want to say congratulations.
Thank you.
You can definitely see on print, and it's always real good when you can see improvements in print.
Yes.
And, you know, anytime you have stuff, I mean, we are here to support you in your endeavors, and, you know, invite us. And it's not necessarily, you know, we have certain zones we represent, but we represent the district, and we want to make sure that you feel supported by all of us. So, you know, don't hesitate to reach out to us and invite us to, you know, because, you know, I have been, you know, visited that area before, and I wouldn't mind, you know, going out and helping with community walks, or was it parking lot? Parlay?
Parlay, yes.
So, I could parlay.
Yes.
Hey, what
So, yeah, just invite us, but congratulations on the improvement.
Thank you. And I'm going to say it here first. You will see test improvement at 7th Street.
Okay,
You will.
great deal.
Awesome.
I move that we approve Solution Tree quote, 7th Street Elementary School.
Second.
All right. I'd
Third.
Ask real quickly if you'd accepted a friendly amendment to specify the amount, the 142, the 132, 720. Do you mind having that as part of your motion? All right, thanks.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All right, so it's been moved and properly second. We ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for all
Great
you're
job.
doing.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mr. Collins, I'm serious.
I know you are. I got you.
Don't make her ask twice.
Madam President, members of our board, the superintendent, action item 10.4, the superintendent recommends the curriculum management audit proposal as presented at our last workshop.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I so move that we accept the recommendation from Dr. Paluski concerning the curriculum management and audit proposal.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes.
All right. We're good? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, Madam President, members of our board. And our last action item, 10.5, is disposal of property.
Come on now, somebody, all it is
Madam President,
Yes.
I so move that we accept the disposal of property of North Little Rock School District regarding the van.
the van, thank you. That was stolen.
Second.
Any discussion?
One second, do we need to word it like you had it worded, Mr. Brown, or is that acceptable? You had a suggested resolution in there somewhere?
That, the proposed motion's fine. I
Okay.
was just giving some,
Great.
just some guidance there if it was
Okay.
needed, so,
I just don't want us to get in trouble.
sure.
I do have one follow-up question, if you don't mind. Was this the vehicle, we did an audit, a financial audit a few months back. Was
That's
this?
the one that was stolen.
This is the one that was stolen
Okay, very good. So
on the
this
weekend
isn't
from.
the missing one that was
No,
found? Okay,
no, correct.
That's what I
This
needed
was
to know.
stolen.
Okay, very good. Okay, that's all I needed to know. Making
Hey,
sure.
I think
That's
what
all.
JT was trying to say, so the public could know specifically, Ms. Walker, say that, they'll know what the property was clearly. You want to clarify?
No, I'm fine. I just want to make sure that that motion was good. It's laid out in the agenda, so I'm good.
I'll reread, just for fun.
Okay.
I move to declare the 2017 Chevy Express van disposed property as of July 10th, 2021, to remove it from the district's inventory.
Very good.
Second?
Second.
Yep, you got it.
There it is.
Moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
So, Mr. Brown, just to make sure, this is in place so that one employee can't just take it out of inventory and then that be questioned? I mean, the board's got to do it so that there's no questionable behavior of things being removed from inventory and showing up on eBay.
Well, that's true, but it's also Arkansas law.
Right, but that's.
Arkansas law requires the board to approve disposal of any property, not just vehicles, any property which its value is more than $1,000.
Okay.
So obviously, insurance paid us $20,000, its value is more than $1,000, so the board has to authorize the disposal of that property. That goes to, if we're trading in a mower to buy a new one, and the value of that mower is more than $1,000, we'll be in front of you asking for permission to do that trade, dispose of the property. So, anytime we remove something that's valued more than $1,000, you all will know it and approve it.
And the public knows it.
And the public knows it.
There you go.
Yes.
Thanks.
And is that book value or, that's book value, right? So if it's fully depreciated,
Well, that is the actual cash value that's calculated by insurance.
okay.
They have their own method of determining that. What they do is they send an adjuster out and they look at the vehicle. They appraise it, the adjuster does, and they appraise it based on the accident not happening. And they issue a cash value that they think a person would pay for it undamaged. And that's where their basis comes from, so.
My question was the $1,000. So if, like this equipment, it was totally depreciated and we were gonna get rid of it, so on our books, it wasn't worth anything anymore? But maybe someone would pay us $1,000 for it, it comes.
Oh, yes. That's
what's the $1,000, the book value or and you're saying it's cash value?
The reasonable market value.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
yes.
One quick question, Dr. Paluski. Has provisions been put in place so this won't happen again as far as district vehicles?
I can assure you, after this incident, we've taken multiple measures to ensure that our vehicles are not going to get stolen.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I so move.
Wait, real quick. We have future meetings. A budget workshop on September 28th, a board workshop on October 7th, and a regular board meeting on October 21st. Now
Thank you,
may
Mr.
move.
Brown.
Now, I want to have a question. Dr. Paluski, what region are we in? They have regional meetings every year for us, and it was in my computer, but I couldn't figure out when our region meeting is going to be.
We can check, I'll have Ms. Wan check that, what our regional meetings are for board members. I'm not sure if it's 7 or 8.
Are you talking about the one here, this next month?
Usually in
I don't know
December,
who was hosting it, because last year before last, we were at Bryan.
We're at Greenbrier.
Sometimes we have to go to England, Arkansas.
Greenbrier.
It's
We're in Region 8. I had Miss Pat to register.
Region 8, correct, that's
Okay,
right.
Region 8.
So, just
But they
register
haven't
Miss.
sent our announcement out yet.
They did send something
They
because they
did.
said it.
I know I saw it,
Yes.
but they wasn't talking about us. I tried to find it, Region 8.
We'll have
Gotcha.
Ms. Wan will clarify that. We'll send something out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am?
Oh, second the motion.
Second.
Okay. I guess we're adjourned. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye. Oh, don't forget your food.